everyone, welcome back to Pabbly. In this video, we're going to learn how to add Let's Calendar attendee from Google Sheets row. So I am an event manager and I've organized a workshop, that is social media marketing workshop. And what I want is that every time I add a contestant's details in my Google Sheets, automatically an attendee should be created in my Let's Calendar. For that, we have to create an automation between Google Sheets and Let's Calendar with the help of Pabbly Connect. In Pabbly Connect, to start an automation process, we need triggers and actions. In this process, my trigger application is going to be Google Sheets and my action application is going to be Let's Calendar. If you want to learn how to create this automation, then let me take you all to my screen. In this video, we are going to learn how to add Let's Calendar attendee from Google Sheets row. So I am an event manager and I am conducting a social media marketing workshop, and what I want is that every time I add my contestants data in my Google Sheets, automatically an attendee should be created from the data in my Google Sheets in my Let's Calendar. For that, what we are going to do is we are going to create an automation between Google Sheets and Let's Calendar with the help of Pabbly Connect. So on the screen, you can see the website of Pabbly Connect, that is pabbly.com/connect. After browsing this website, we are going to sign into our Pabbly Connect account. If you're a new user, you can sign up for free and get 100 free tasks every month. So I'm going to sign into my Pabbly Connect account by clicking over here. Then you can see the Pabbly's All Apps window in front of you, in which there are the 5 functions of Pabbly, from which we are going to select Pabbly Connect by clicking on Access Now. Then on the screen, you can see the dashboard of Pabbly Connect. To start an automation process, we need to create a workflow. For that, we have to click on the top right corner button over here, that is Create Workflow. Then a new dialog box will appear in front of you, which is asking for a workflow name. So I'm going to give a name to my workflow as Let's Calendar attendee from Google Sheets row. After giving a name to our workflow, it is asking for us to select a folder. On the left side of my screen, you can see I've created multiple folders in my Pabbly Connect account, from which I'm going to select a specific folder in which I want to save this workflow in. For that, we have to click on this drop down button right over here. As you can see, these are the all folders that I've created in my Pabbly Connect account, from which I'm going to select on Google Sheets automation to save this workflow in this folder. After selecting this folder and giving a name to our workflow, we are going to click on Create in order to create a workflow. A workflow is created in the name of Let's Calendar attendee from Google Sheets row, and there are 2 windows in front of you. One says Trigger, another says Action. Trigger and action are the 2 most important steps of our automation process, because our process depends on these 2 steps. Over here, trigger says when this happens and action says do this. That means our action is a response towards our trigger. In an automation process, there can be only one trigger step but various action steps. So we are going to set up our trigger step first. For that, we have to click on this arrow right over here, and as it is asking for us to choose our trigger application. In the introduction, I've already told you that a trigger application is going to be Google Sheets, so I'm going to select Google Sheets. After that, for the trigger event, we are going to select it as New or Updated Spreadsheet row. This means that every time I add a new data in my Google Sheets, automatically Pabbly Connect is going to capture the response. After that, over here you can see Pabbly Connect has provided us with a webhook URL. With the help of this unique webhook URL, we are going to connect Google Sheets with Pabbly Connect by following these steps mentioned right here below. Firstly, we have to open the sheet that we have created. As you can see, this is the sheet that I've created in the name of contestants data in my Google Sheets, and I want to connect this sheet with Pabbly Connect. For that, we have to click on extensions right over here. After that, over here you can see it says add-ons. We are going to click on it, and then we have to click on get add-ons. Then a new window will open in front of you, in which on search bar we are going to search for Pabbly, and we are going to select Pabbly Connect webhooks. After selecting Pabbly Connect webhooks, on the search result, you can see Pabbly Connect webhooks right over here. We are going to select this. Over here, I've already installed Pabbly Connect webhooks, but if you have not installed it, please install it so we can connect Google Sheets with Pabbly Connect. So I'm going to move further as I've already installed Pabbly Connect webhooks. After that, we are going to click on extensions again, and over here you can see it says Pabbly Connect webhooks. We are going to click over here, and then we have to select Initial Setup. Then a new window will appear in front of us, which is asking for a webhook URL. So we are going to enter the webhook URL that Pabbly Connect has provided us. For that, we are going to open up Pabbly Connect. So I'm going to copy this from here. and I'm going to paste it right over here. After that, as you can see, it is asking for a trigger column. So what trigger column means? Trigger column will be a final data column on which if the data is added. So in this sheet, my trigger column is going to be column D. So I'm going to select my trigger column as column D. After entering the webhook URL link and the trigger column, we are going to click on submit. Over here, it says setup configured successfully. So I'm going to go back. So now what I'm going to tell you is very important. We have to click on extensions again. We have to click on Pabbly Connect webhooks again. And after that, over here you can see it says send on event. We are going to click on it. So if I'm going to take you back to extensions and Pabbly Connect webhooks, you can see a tick mark is presented in front of send on events. So this means that every time a new data will be added in this Google Sheets, automatically Pabbly Connect is going to capture the response. So this step is very important. After that, we have to open our Pabbly Connect again. And as over here it says waiting for webhook response. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a dummy detail in my spreadsheet that I've created with the help of Google Sheets, and we'll check whether Pabbly Connect is going to capture the response or not. For that, we are going to enter some dummy details. Firstly, for the first name, I'm going to write it as test. After that, for the last name, I'm going to write it as user. For the email, I'm going to write it as testuser@pabblytunes.com, and lastly for the phone number, a dummy mobile number. After filling all the details, we are going to open our Pabbly Connect and we'll check whether Pabbly Connect has captured the response or not. For that, I'm going to open my Pabbly Connect account. And yes, as you can see over here, response is captured in my Pabbly Connect. For the first name, it says test. For the last name, as user. For the email, as testuser@pabblytunes.com. And lastly, for the phone number, a mobile number and some other data. So this means that we have successfully connected Google Sheets with Pabbly Connect. After setting up our trigger step, we need to set up our action step. For that, we have to click on this arrow right over here, as it is asking for us to choose our action application. And in the introduction, I've already told you that our action application is going to be Let's Calendar. So I'm going to select Let's Calendar. After that, for the action event, I'm going to select it as Add Attendee. That means every time I add a new data in my Google Sheets and Pabbly Connect is going to capture the data, automatically an attendee should be added in our Let's Calendar according to the data captured. After that, we are going to click on Connect to connect Pabbly Connect with Let's Calendar. Then a new window is going to appear in front of us, on which we have to click on Add New Connection. But if you have an existing connection, you can choose this option. After that, it is asking for the login ID and the password. So I'm going to enter the login ID and password of my account in Let's Calendar. So I'm going to do that. You have to enter your login ID and password if you have an account in Let's Calendar. So I'm going to fill in all the details. So I've entered my login ID and password. After that, I'm going to click on Save. So as you can see, we have connected Let's Calendar with Pabbly Connect. Firstly, it is asking for the campaign ID. So in my Let's Calendar ID right over here, I have created multiple campaigns. So I'm going to open my campaign list, and I have created a campaign in the name of Social Media Marketing Workshop, because I am an event manager and I want that every time any of the contestants' detail is added in my Google Sheets, automatically an attendee should be created in the workshop title over here, that is Social Media Marketing Workshop. So I'm going to select my campaign ID as Social Media Marketing Workshop. After that, it is asking for the first name. So for the first name, what we are going to do is we are going to map the data. Mapping means inserting data from the previous step. So I'm going to insert the data from a previous trigger step. So how are we going to do that? We are going to click right over here. As you can see, this is the response from a previous trigger step, that is Google Sheets, new or updated spreadsheet row. So I'm going to click on this arrow over here. And as you can see, this is the response details from a previous trigger step. It is asking for the first name, so I'm going to map the data for the first name by clicking right over here. So now I have mapped this data. So this data has become dynamic. That means every time a new response will be captured in our trigger step, automatically the data over here will be updated according to the new response. After that, it is asking for the last name. For the last name, we are going to again map the data. For that, we have to click right over here. As you can see, this is the previous response. I'm going to click on this arrow right over here. As we want the data for the last name, so I'm going to map the data for the last name. Next, it is asking for the username. So for the username, I want my contestant's name to be written. For that, we are going to map the data for the first name and the last name. For that, I'm going to click over here. We are going to click on this arrow right over here. As we want the first name and the last name, so I'm going to firstly map the data for the first name, then space, and then for the last name. So what will happen that every time a username will be created, it will start with the contestant's first name and then the last name. So after mapping the data for the username, it is asking for the email ID. So I'm going to map the data for the email ID again. and I'm going to map it. So I've mapped all the data right over here for the first name, last name, username and the email. So for the login URL and the password, I'm going to skip this part right over here because it is not a required field. So I've mapped all these data right over here. Now every time a new response will be captured in our Google Sheets, automatically and according to the new data, over here all the data will be updated. After filling all the details, I'm going to click on Save and Send Test Request. As over here you can see it says attendees saved successfully. So now I'm going to open my Let's calendar and I'm going to check whether an attendee is created from the data in our Google Sheet or not. For that I'm going to open my Let's calendar. Then over here you can see campaign name Social Media Marketing Workshop. I'm going to click on Send Invite right over here. And as you can see, an attendee is created. For the first name it says test, for the last name as user, for the email as testuser@pabblytutor.com, for the username as test user, and a registered date with the time. That means you have successfully connected Google Sheets and Let's calendar. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to submit in another dummy response. For that I'm going to open my Google Sheets. Now in my Google Sheets I'm going to add another contestant detail so that a new attendee will be added in my Let's calendar. So we are going to check whether we have successfully created an automation or not. For that I'm going to fill in all these details. So I have filled all the details of my contestant. For the first name as dummy, for the last name as account, for the email as dummyaccount@pabblytutor.com, and lastly for the mobile number, a dummy mobile number. After filling all the details, I'm going to go back to my Let's calendar and I'm going to check whether a new attendee is added in my Let's calendar or not. For that I'm going to open my Let's calendar. Now we are going to refresh the page. As you can see, a new attendee is added in my Let's calendar for the first name as dummy, for the last name as account, for the email as dummyaccount@pabblytutor.com, and lastly for the username as dummy account. That means you have successfully created an automation between Google Sheets and Let's calendar with the help of Pabbly Connect. So now to sum up till now what we have done. I am an event manager and I am arranging a social media marketing workshop, and what I wanted was that every time I add any of my contestants' detail in my Google Sheets, automatically in my Let's calendar an attendee should be added. For that we have created an automation with the help of Pabbly Connect. So to start an automation we need to create a workflow. So I have given a name to my workflow as Let's calendar attendee from Google Sheets row. So we have to set up a trigger and action step. For the trigger step, I've taken my trigger application as Google Sheets and my trigger event as new or updated spreadsheet row. So this means that every time I add a data in my spreadsheet and a new row is added, automatically Pabbly Connect is going to capture the response. After that, for our action step, we have taken our action application as Let's calendar and our action event as add attendee. This means that in my Google Sheets, whenever I add a contestant's detail, automatically with the help of the data, a new attendee will be added in my Let's calendar. So this is how we create an automation between Google Sheets and Let's calendar with the help of Pabbly Connect. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel, hit on the like button, comment down below if you have any questions or doubts, and please share this video. So not just with these applications, you can automate more applications with the help of Pabbly Connect. If you have any doubt, you can send us email on support@pabbly.com. If you have any queries, you can ask us queries on forum.pabbly.com. And if you have any questions regarding the Pabbly Connect pricing, you can check out this link. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel.